There he is. Hi, Phil.
Chair Cap. It's Emily Gallagher.
There we go. Okay, we're getting.
Is requested to speak first because she has before we get started because she's got a meeting that she's
Yeah,
got.
you would never.
Anyways, we're all good. Okay, we're good. Good. Ooh, tons of people on. People on. Good evening, everybody. Marie, we here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We don't have a quorum yet. I'm checking all my people. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes if one or two more of the committee members join. But if not, we'll start our meeting then, okay? People, but
Phil, the presenter for the proposed art project in the park, she's joined the meeting. So
okay.
I'll let you know she's here, Elizabeth Marcella.
Okay, I'm gonna give it another minute, and then we'll move forward with that with our first agenda item. Okay. Marie, you help me out. I because we have so many people on, but I only got 5 members right now. Yeah, that's all I see right now. All right.
I'm going through the list.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm missing somebody. Okay. All right, but that's okay, Marie. You know what? Let's begin our meeting. We're going to have our first agenda item. Mary, I'll let you open it. This is a temporary art proposal for McCarran Park. Okay?
Yep. So
you have the floor.
Thank you. So I'm here with Elizabeth Masella, who works in our Art and Antiquities division. We have the artist trying to get in, and Elizabeth, is she here yet? Was she having trouble?
Yeah, I think I saw Catherine Cooper from the Plywood Protection Project. I think she's here.
Okay, great.
So we're all set.
I'm here. Hello.
Right. So this is an art project that came to Parks. It's part of the temporary art parks. So it's I don't know the exact timeline, but it's one of those less than 1 year art projects that we'll be seeing. And we hope that you guys appreciate it. I don't want to go too much into it. I'll let Elizabeth introduce Catherine, and then Catherine talk about what she's proposed for McCarran Park.
Thank you for having us this evening. As Mary mentioned, I'm with the Art in the Parks program, which is part of the larger Art and Antiquities Division of Parks. We permit temporary public art in parks citywide. We're a small staff of 2. We do about 50 to 60 projects a year. Last year was a little bit different because of the pandemic. But temporary projects, it can be anywhere from, a couple weeks, a year. The project that we're presenting this evening is going to be on view from May to the end of October in McCarran Park. My co-presenter, Catherine Cooper, will present more information pertaining to the artwork, but just some additional background. The artworks are fully insured. All exhibitors are required to have general liability insurance for the duration of the exhibition. In addition to that, they are required to maintain the artwork. If it is damaged, graffitied, vandalized in any way, they're required to fix that pretty much as soon as possible. If it's something dangerous, hate speech, anything like that, we expect them to get on that as soon as possible. They will make sure it's in good condition throughout the exhibition, and they're also required to restore the site at the end of the exhibition. That's making sure that the site is in as good or better as was when it was installed. And they also are responsible for funding the project. That includes installation, maintenance, transport, materials, etc. Our program doesn't receive any funding from the city for temporary public art projects. So that does fall to the artist to provide that. With that being said, I can turn it over to Catherine to share just some more information about the Plywood Protection Project and this artwork in particular.
Great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And thank you to everyone for allowing me to join this evening and tell you a little bit about Worthless Studios and the Plywood Protection Project. As Elizabeth said, my name is Catherine Cooper. I'm the managing director for Worthless Studios, which is a small arts nonprofit. We just got our 501c3 incorporation in 2019, and I have a really brief presentation that I'd love to share with you. And I'll do that now. So I just get an affirmative once you can see something that looks like plywood.
We see plywood.
Great, that's good. Thank you. So this is the Plywood Protection Project. It's a art project in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Black Lives Matter protests. And basically, Neil Hamamoto, the founder of Worthless Studios, and myself, about a year ago now, when all of these businesses started being boarded up all around the city, we looked at this material, this incredibly valuable material of plywood, and thought, wow, this is all just going to go to waste. And as an organization with a mission to support the material needs of artists, we thought, what if we could reclaim this and upcycle it into something plastic? We're supporting 5 artists in the 5 boroughs in this effort, and
Then don't help them. Obviously, you're not helping.
the artists that we are supporting in Brooklyn.
Is it possible to mute people who are not speaking? I'm getting a lot of feedback and it's hard to hear, Catherine. Okay. Thank you.
Jesus.
Should I keep going?
It's this park meeting that
I'll keep.
What?
I'm trying to mute
What are
whose
you
microphone it
muttering
is.
over there?
Please mute your microphones, please.
looking for all those places online. So, everyone's here for you.
Listen,
Marina,
I don't want to.
Marina,
No.
mute your microphone.
Oh, God.
I think Catherine's muted now.
They can unmute themselves.
Oh, Catherine, you're muted.
Okay. Hi.
And also, do you mind moving the presentation back over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Just checking. Can you guys see me? And do you see Michael Zelahosky? And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
and
Kat.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm not sure how much of that you caught, but the artist that we are supporting in Brooklyn is Michael Zelahosky. The location for this sculpture is in McCarran Park, and I can show you exactly where in a moment. And Michael has designed this out of plywood. It is plywood obelisks that are twisted together to form a caltrop, which is a symbol of popular protest. The dimensions are about 12 by 12. And it will weigh in at about 800 to 1,000 pounds. We're going to do all of the assembly on site, and we actually have a site visit coming up with Elizabeth to make sure that we know the ins and outs of McCarran Park and that we will do that safely and effectively. And the other thing I wanted to note about this is that we really take safety very seriously. And as does the Parks Department, and we've been working closely with them to ensure that Michael's caltrop, his installation, will discourage climbing and will also be roped off. So you can see this is the kind of signage that we're planning to put around this sculpture. And this is just an example. This is not Michael's work, but this is an example of the kind of barrier that we're planning on putting up to be clear that this is not a plaything. This is not a piece of play equipment, but that this is really a sculpture that is meant to be appreciated and observed. So I will also just show you a little bit more of a precise view of the location that we're thinking of. So this is the track at McCarran Park, and this is the sort of southern tip of the park on a lawn where we're going to hopefully install the project in May. So I will stop sharing. And that's it from me.
Okay.
Are there any questions or?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Steve.
Thanks, Phil. Steve Jessler. Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the theme, about how this concept relates to Black Lives Matter? Yeah.
Yes, I'd be really happy to. So I kind of skimmed over that for the sake of time, but the general, what this came out of for us and for the artists as well, is that so much plywood was going up at the beginning of the pandemic, and then even more started to go up as various businesses put up, blocked their windows because of protests that were happening. So part of what we're doing is trying to, take these barriers that were put up out of fear for a lot of people and upcycle them into something positive that can be appreciated. And McCarran Park in particular is a site of so many peaceful vigils for George Floyd, where the artist Michael Zelahosky has a personal connection, seemed like a really fitting and on-theme site.
There's a
Anybody else?
question in the chat. Phil, there's a question in the chat, it's from Kevin Lachera, and it says, has there been any, oops, my chat just shifted. Any outreach to the McCarran Gathering, which has been holding Black Lives Matter vigil in the park for the past 279 days?
I don't know.
Catherine, I don't know, do you know that people have been gathering in McCarran Park? And that's Kevin's question is whether.
Yeah.
Whether there's been outreach to people.
Kevin, yeah, I've been starting to do some outreach and communication with folks, and I'm sorry, I'm just reading as you're chatting here. I was not aware that they prefer to be referred to as not, like, that peaceful is not language that they use to refer to their work. I would love to be connected to them. I don't know them personally, but would be in conversation with them.
I don't know if I missed it. How long is it going to stay up?
It'll be there from early May until the end of October, so that's about 6 months.
Oh, nice. Very good. Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
I have a couple questions too, Phil.
Go ahead.
I want to know, I know you're planning to put it, you love to put it at the corner lawn. How much space in terms of square footage between the sculpture and the delineation that you have pointed at in your images? How much space are we going to detract from the lawn? Because that's a space that's normally used by people. So.
When we meet on site with Mary, we'll take those considerations into account. We haven't determined the exact placement yet, but we will be mindful of, it won't be very close to the track. We don't want to interfere with people who are going to be working out there. But it's about 12 feet long and 12 feet wide, but it's, as you see, kind of like a pyramid or triangular shape. So it's not, and there's space around it as well.
But it's going to be, you said, a protection kind of delineation.
There'll be a kind of unobtrusive, it'll be roped off to keep people from climbing it, but it won't be like a big barricade. It'll be kind of an unobtrusive roping off.
So my point, I was trying to understand in terms of surface square footage between 140 square feet, whatever that is, the size of the sculpture, and the perimeter you want to kind of screen more. You're going to take away what, 300, 400 square feet from possibly a lawn. So just wondering.
Yes, Santi, we will try to be, pick an area that is not, I know every lawn in McCarran is really desired, but we will try to pick a place that is not that obtrusive, but where people can appreciate this wonderful piece of art that we would like to put there. And I did see a question in the chat from Katie Neplatarski about a competition. This was not a competition, Elizabeth. I don't know if you want to just give an idea of how this program works.
Yeah, so it wasn't a competition run by New York City Parks. We received proposals from organizations and artists who would like to exhibit temporary public art in parks. It is open to everyone. Worthless Studios they ran an open call for artists who would be interested in exhibiting their work. And then once the proposals were selected, they were brought to our office and we review for things like safety, stability, and that kind of thing. Catherine, I don't know if you just want to speak more about the open call.
Sure, I'm happy to say a few words about that. It was, as Elizabeth said, an open call. We had jurors from all 5 boroughs represented on the jury itself. The artists received both a stipend as well as a materials budget in addition to our fabrication assistance and, of course, the use of the plywood.
Trina, anybody else in the chat?
I actually have a question, Phil. I had a couple questions. Catherine, when you did the open call, did you do the open call specifically for McCarran, or were you working in general looking for a public art project to discuss these themes?
So at that point, we were looking to the artists to speak to some of the locations that they felt would work best with their installations. So, and because it was a little bit of a chicken or the egg situation, right? Where to go to parks, you need to have an idea of a place, right? We wanted to work with the artists to figure out places that they thought would be appropriate.
And was that your first open call, or do you do this annually?
So this is the first time that we have done an open call for the Plywood Protection Project. We have a history of producing public art, mostly actually in photography. And I'm happy to link folks to our website or talk offline about that. But we have a mission to provide material and fabrication assistance to artists across a few different disciplines. And historically, that's been in the form of public art projects focusing on photography.
Mm-hmm. And I was out on my phone for a moment, but did you have a rendering of the actual sculpture or no?
Yes, we do have a rendering of the actual sculpture. So in that presentation, that the caltrop was the sort of design for it. Do you mean like a CAD rendering?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I looked away for a moment, so I apologize. But I guess another question I have is the install. And so is this something that you're going to need to actually break ground to install, or any sort of like concrete footings required, or is it just on top?
So this is something that I think we're going to be.
There it is. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. This is something that we're going to be discussing at the site visit with the parks manager. My understanding is that because of the weight of the sculpture, or footing will probably not be necessary. But Elizabeth, if you want to provide any further color or detail on that, that would be great.
Yeah. So essentially, if an artwork is 1,000 pounds or more, it wouldn't necessitate underground anchoring or anything like that. The inside of the sculpture will be made out of steel I-beams, so it'll be quite heavy. But if an artist does need to put footings in the ground, they are required to remove those, fill the holes with soil, and seed over. But in this particular case, the sculpture is heavy enough and large enough that we don't anticipate that we will need to break ground for it. It will just sit on top of the grass.
Yes. And I will be meeting with Catherine and Elizabeth and others on site to discuss all of this, and it'll be in an agreement. So site restoration is very big on our list of things that have to be completed at the end of such an installation.
Hold a security deposit, which we only return once the site's been restored. So if an exhibitor that we're working with doesn't restore it, then they don't get their security deposit back. And that is an illegal agreement.
Okay.
Captain, this is Councilmember Antonio Reynoso.
Hey, Antonio.
Hey, how are you doing? I hope we get. I'm here for a different reason, but I wanted to just ask 2 questions. In this program, how many opportunities are given to people of color? Specifically, if this is like a Black Lives Matter installation, this one doesn't specifically need to be done by a Black artist, but I would love to know the opportunities that are given to minority artists overall in this program, and whether or not you're paying attention to that.
I think that's a great question, and I'm happy to. I actually just contacted your office today, Councilman Reynoso, and I would love to be able to send you the overall deck that we have of the 5 individuals. A few of them are teams of artists that are involved. We have tried to involve, I think at this point, self-identified people of color make up half of the artists involved in this. And Michael himself is not a person of color. I point you to the other people involved, including Candace Memphis, who's installing in Queensbridge Park, as well as Banging Ha, who's a duo design firm, and then who are installing in hopefully. And then we're also really interested in trying to have like a number of interlocutors around the project to ensure that those are also people of color and Black people particularly. because, as you said, the intersection of this project with the BLM movement. So that's something that we're actively trying to address in our programming, particularly around actually a Juneteenth event, which is going to be activating a lot of Black queer performers on Staten Island. On one of our pictures that is done by Tony DiBernardo, who's an out-of-work theater designer, as so many people are. So that's another place that we are explicitly reaching out to Black and queer people.
Thank you, Catherine. I just wanted to make sure that that you guys are giving a lot of resources to these artists. And I just wanted to make sure that there was some equity in how you're doing that, and it seems like it is happening. Greenpoint is not necessarily a large Black community, and it doesn't mean that white artists can't be a part of the movement. So I feel comfortable with your answer, and I'm looking forward to meeting you soon so we can talk about this project and others in the future. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Antonio.
I have two very practical questions. It's Trina. What happens when inevitably kids start climbing on it? And then the other question, what happens when it gets covered with graffiti?
So as far as the graffiti question, we actually have a very low incidence of graffiti in temporary public art. If it were to happen, we would notify Catherine and her team, and they would come out and address that. It will be coated, I think, with a polyurethane that will be easier to clean than, just a regular painted wood surface. They should be able to wipe it off. If they can't wipe it off for whatever reason, they can paint it over, but they'll make sure it's taken care of, because we know when you leave graffiti, it has a tendency to proliferate. So that's to answer that question. We are putting as many things in place to prevent climbing as possible. We realize some really determined individuals might do it. If it becomes a real issue, we'll have a conversation with Mary as far as what we can do in addition to the wiping off and the signage. But we also haven't had a lot of big instances of people really using artwork as a climbing gym.
Great, that's good.
Okay, I'm going to agree with my friend Lewis. I do like projects in the Karen Park, so I'm looking forward to it. All right, ladies, thank you very much. We're all looking forward to the project. Something to look at the park this summer. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move forward to the main attraction.
Phil, can I just request that they send us a hard copy or an email copy of the presentation? WebEx does not save it, so there's no way I could save it from there.
Okay.
I can send that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, Marie, can you mute David G? He's got a lot of noise coming in.
All right. We're gonna have our second agenda item. This is going to be a discussion on Martha P. Johnson State Park. But we're going to see the presentation that I don't know how many of us have seen. Might be at the first time for some of us. Leslie, are you going to do that?
Yes, I would be happy to. So I'm going to open.
Let me introduce you at least then. So this is Leslie Wright, New York City Regional Director of New York State Office of State.
Phil, I'm sorry. This David G, he doesn't have a microphone to mute, so either he silences himself or I'm going to have to remove him from the meeting.
He doesn't have a way to mute his mic?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't have a way. Could he mute it?
His microphone is not showing. That's why I can't turn him off. Or the only other alternative would be to remove him from the meeting.
I hate to let him leave the meeting, but I don't want him to. Yeah, I see him. I don't want him to upset the presentations.
Can I also say one thing? I know that Emily Gallagher has a meeting that she has to go to, and she had asked if she could speak beginning of before the presentation. So can we allow Emily to?
All right. Yeah, we always want to
all
hear from the state officials. Sure. Go ahead, Emily.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this moment. We're just doing negotiations, and we're talking about removing executive powers or emergency executive power tomorrow, so I have to get back. But I just wanted to say that I'm really glad that we are having this meeting together, and my staff member Katie is here, as well as my chief of staff Andrew. And I am absolutely with the community and the community's vision on this. I think it's really critical that we feel a sense of ownership over this park, which is such an important part of the open space in our neighborhood, which we are so underserved in. And I intend to make sure that as the process goes forward, not on this particular park, but all particular state and local partnerships, that we have a much better mutually agreed upon planning process, and that we really get to have a hand in it much earlier than we're getting now. And I know that I was not in this position when the designs were agreed upon, so I'm a latecomer to having the power to have these discussions, but I have been in regular touch with the state agencies, and I really want to help advocate. So my team is here, and I'm really grateful for everybody's participation and for the passion that this community has, which is why I grew so passionate and why I am in this position now. So thanks so much. Katie and Andrew are here. They'll be my voice while I'm in this other meeting. And yeah, we will continue to be actively involved in this.
Emily, thank you very much. We'll keep you definitely involved in this, don't you worry.
Can we close also Leslie Wright's microphone, please? He's on.
All right, well, she's going to get ready to present. So go ahead, Leslie.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I want to thank you, or open by thanking you all for, oops, excuse me, let me make that bigger, inviting me to, inviting State Parks to the meeting this evening and giving the opportunity to walk through the project element by element. You know, I'll go into good detail and answer any and every question that you have. And I'm very happy to say that in addition to having me here tonight, our lead designer for the artistic and interpretive elements in this renovation, Molly Lenore, one of the principals of MOE Inc., is with us tonight too. And Molly, after I walk through the different elements and go through a lot of the technical information and address issues that I've seen being raised in the press, and, you know, hopefully dispel some of the misinformation that's been swirling around as well. After I go through that, Molly will speak to the design and artistic intent behind some of the behind all of the artistic elements, and also we'll talk about the very extensive outreach that's been done to date with the different communities. So with that, I will jump in and just remind everybody that, you know, that the intent of this whole project is to really celebrate the renaming of the park in honor of Marsha P. Johnson, and embrace that opportunity to both improve the park and make a really bold statement about the equality for all people in New York State. The intention is very much to maintain the character of the park while enhancing features, ADA compliance, and certainly to improve stormwater management throughout the park. So with that, looking at this image here, it's a very detailed overview of what the elements are, and I'd like to just go through, starting with the pathways and the whole pathway system throughout the park. You will see that from the main entrance here, if you look at my cursor at North 8th, what we will do here is both incorporate new materials and use old materials. Throughout all the pathways, I should just back up and say that, you know, because of the need to both make sure all the pathways or sufficient pathways for adequate direct circulation are ADA compliant, and also deal with the slope of the property, and also deal with the fact that most of the pathways have been there for quite a while and just have deteriorated over time with use, with the settling of the property. You know, those factors help to inform our decision of which materials to use. So wherever possible, we are incorporating existing materials, especially the granite cobblestones. They're absolutely stunning and gorgeous, and we value them. So this main pathway here leading in from North 8th, we are putting in granite pavers that kind of mimic the cobblestones, but are ADA compliant. We're adding a companion asphalt path also to make the path wider and to give greater accessibility. We are adding over here on the north side of the park, we're resetting and refining and really reformatting with better edges the stone fines paving. All of the stone fines paving is permeable. The pathway here closest to the waterfront is porous asphalt. It's porous because it will aid in the soaking up of the rainwater and help to contribute to rainwater collection that's also here in these kind of kidney-shaped bioretention basins. This pathway here that leads from off the main entrance pathway over to the north slab, that's a pretty steep slope, so we were limited to asphalt for that pathway. Similarly, over here from Kent Avenue, this pathway currently is largely bluestone, but it's very irregular. It has tripping hazards. It's not ADA compliant. So what our designers have done is reformatted the path to reach both of the two slabs, and it will be asphalt. In between the two slabs, we have concrete pathways. As all of you know from knowing the park, this is an area that typically just turns into a giant and very problematic mud bath because of the water, you know, just flowing down the park. So we wanted to make this area much more usable. Any porous pathway here, any porous material would become impervious very quickly because of the flow of the water, as would this main pathway here. So that is why we chose the concrete material there. On balance, there's been a lot of interest in, you know, what is the percentage of new impervious material being added to the park. On balance, all of the pathways and the two concrete or the two slabs, which I'll go into more detail in a moment, but on balance, there's really no appreciable difference of added impervious, non-porous surfaces to the park. And I can give you the actual square footages. While we're down here at the slabs, let's talk about them. They're both, you know, they're old slabs. They were part of the foundation for the maintenance buildings from the old Eastern District Terminal. Tripping hazards, we've patched them, we've spot repaired them, we've section repaired them over the years, and it just hasn't been enough. They're very popular for picnicking. They're very popular for events. You know, our annual kite festival is there. The food fair has been there over the years. You know, they during the past year and COVID, when we haven't had any events, I've seen people incorporate them for badminton, soccer, basketball, you name it. So they're really well used. They need to be in better shape. So what we're doing is maintaining exactly the same footprints. There is not 1 inch net gain of footprint. The southern slab is being completely redone with fresh concrete. I should say that the edges and the foundation remnant walls of both of the slabs are being maintained and incorporated into the newly refurbished slabs to also maintain the historic character of the property. The northern slab, which is the smaller of the two, is being refurbished with asphalt so as to accommodate the mural treatment and the mural material selected by the artist. This northern slab is approximately 35,000 square feet. It is not 1 acre. It is just about 1/2 acre. So I wanted to make that clear. You know, there's been some press that talks about being an acre of mural. That's not quite true. The selection of the material, to speak about that just for a moment, as I mentioned, was made by our artists, and the material is extremely durable. It's also extremely common. To flip slides just a moment to give you an example, in playgrounds throughout New York City, a version of the same material is used on playgrounds to add color, to add definition. This playground here is one of the 8 playgrounds completely transformed and made into community playgrounds in the state's Vital Brooklyn initiative, something that we're very proud of. And it's opened up 8 playgrounds throughout central Brooklyn to the communities as well as the school groups. And the kids design them, the kids help select the materials, the kids actually design not only what features, what athletic or even outdoor classroom features these playgrounds have, but they also decide what the color is going to look like and what shapes and themes. So, you know, if you look at this one, you can see it's got kind of a space theme. This material, it's called thermoplastic. It's incredibly durable. It's skid resistant. It has no volatile organic compounds, no VOCs. There's no microplastic runoff from it at all. It's got a shelf life of approximately 10 years. This mural is actually made up of individual, very large tiles. So as different sections of it might wear, rather than being forced to replace the entire thing wholesale, individual pieces or sets of pieces can be replaced at any given time. When it's past its shelf life and needs a bigger refresh, it's completely recyclable along with the asphalt. So there was a lot of consideration into this material. It's considerably more durable than paint. And those are the main elements that led to the design decision to select the thermoplastic. Let's go north and look at this area here. These walls, some are covered by this row of trees, but here's the other one here, that thin white line. Those are the original gantry foundation walls, the gantry being the big structure that would lift rail cars up and over onto the barge to cross the river. You know, we cherish all of these architectural remnants and industrial remnants in the park. These walls are being incorporated into, you know, it's variously called the Gantry Plaza. I like to call it the Outdoor Gallery. What's happening here, though, is this grayish area will be the cobblestone pavers. Again, they're ADA compliant. They are pervious. And we added this new green lawn. On top of that lawn will be park furnishings, picnic tables. Here's some other picnic tables over here, things that can move around to accommodate whatever the use may be. This rectangle here is our park house. I'm happy to talk about that. We've talked about it many times over the past few years. Just so happy that is now coming to fruition. And if you walk by the park today, you'll see it well along taking shape. Just to give you an idea of the kind of technical specs of the interpretive elements and interpretive art that is planned for inside the Gantry Plaza. I wanted to show you a couple slides. It's a lovely collection of 14 giant flowers to celebrate Marsha P. Johnson's love of flowers and love of decoration, picking up on that theme. I don't want to speak too much to the artistic intent. Molly will do that. This slide shows you the scale, and they're about 10 to 12 feet high. They're mounted on steel base, and each one will have interpretive material. The next slide is an actual rendering of one of the 14 flowers that tell the story of Marsha P. Johnson and tell the story of the civil rights story that she represents. Again, Molly will go into much more detail about that. The last big area to talk about, or big feature rather to talk about, is the stormwater retention basins. So as I mentioned earlier, the entire property tilts down toward the river, and as do everything adjacent to it, right? That whole from Kent toward the river all kind of slants downward. And what this means on a kind of practical land basis is that whenever it rains, the stormwater from both the park and the surrounding area just funnels down through the park, trying to get down to the river. And that, as I'm sure you've all seen, because you use the park, causes tremendous erosion, both in the park and on all the pathways, and leaves a lot of soggy land, but also helps to contribute to tremendous erosion of everyone's beloved beach. And, you know, it was right when I started with state parks about 7 years ago. I had the pleasure in helping to celebrate the opening of that renovated beach, because before there was no beach. We built that, we restored that shoreline, and it's painful to watch the amount of erosion and the amount of damage that goes on from stormwater. So the stormwater system incorporates 4 bioretention basins. Altogether, the 4 basins total about 5,400 square feet to capture the rainwater before it runs to the beach and to the river. There's also a new trench right around here at the gateway entrance that connects to a series of interconnected area drains, also designed to capture the stormwater runoff, and all funnels it all down to the bioretention basins. The porous asphalt pathway here that I referred to earlier, that is also designed to collect and funnel water into the bioretention basins, and even more importantly, to keep it off the beach to stop that erosion. All in, the system will dramatically reduce the amount of water that just flows through the park, taking land and all the stuff from street runoff into the waterway and through the park. Our designers anticipate that this system as a whole will dramatically affect, in a positive way, the look and the feel of the park just from all this erosion damage. I've seen comments in the press about trees and shade and the park needing shade. I'm right there with you 100%. All of these trees here between the 2 platforms will be newly planted, compatible varieties with what the park has now. Over the years, we've seen what works in this particular microclimate and sadly what doesn't work. All in between these trees here and a few other locations in the park, we'll be planting 10 new trees. 0 trees, 0 will be removed as a result of this project. There is 0 reduction of open space in this project. There is no elimination of any open space. And I think everybody's clear now, the park never closed, not even for one day. When we commenced construction, the construction fence went up, and you have always been able to enter the park here and here to enjoy the northern section of the park and the entirety of the waterfront. I think with that, it's time for Molly to speak to the artistic intent and the design elements of the interpretive and art elements.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Molly Lenore. I'm co-founder of MOE. We're a Brooklyn-based ideation design technology fabrication company. We do a lot of work for museums and science centers, public spaces, state and federal parks. We're a certified woman-owned, LGBT-owned company. I'm a trans woman myself, so this is, project's extremely important to us. As Leslie stated, we're responsible for interpretive elements for the park. That includes the fence, the fencing, the Pay No Mind Plaza, the mural, the exhibit, which includes the gantry flower panels, and the app, which wasn't mentioned. But along with the gantry flowers and the mural, we have an app that you'll be able to scan a QR code, and it will add additional videos, first-person narratives of people who knew Marcia, images, and hopefully in the future, real-world data as events happen around the country and around the world. But before I get too deep into the design, I want to talk about the outreach. When we started this project 8 months ago, the first thing that we did was reach out to relevant LGBT groups, trans women of color, historians, Marcia's family. We wanted to get a buy-in. We wanted to find out what they wanted. So I want to go over that first. Krista, do you want to go over a lot of the groups that we contacted regarding this project? And I should state, for every one we contacted, we didn't contact 100. It's a very, it's a crazy task, but we're doing all that we can to reach out to the right relevant people.
Hi, everyone. I'm Krista Jagnanen. I am the project manager here at MOE Inc. for the Marsha P. Johnson State Park. So the outreach that we did was we reached out to Black trans women of color in the New York City metro area. We did a few focus groups that we listened to what they had to say about the content development for the park. I know you guys have seen the flower panels. Do you have that presentation, Molly?
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up. Let me share my. I'll share my screen while we are doing that. Hold on. Share my screen. Sorry about this. Can you see my screen? Yeah, you can. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
do you want to say something?
No, I was going to just say, no, you go first, and I'll jump in.
Okay, so for the content on each of these panels, we actually hired a Black trans woman, and she reached from the focus groups that we had. She basically came up with all of the relevant photos and all the content in here. So we also reached out to Marsha P. Johnson's family. I think she might be on this call too, Anika. And we made sure that we really honed in on these specific groups. We also had trans historians, Susan Stryker, the trans flag creator, Monica Helms. We reached out to the Brooklyn Ghost Project, who provides resources to trans women of color, and many more.
Okay. Sorry. So for this, I should state typically when you before the park, the construction started, there was one panel, and typically that's what you have. You have one panel, you have a picture of Marcia, and then a Wikipedia description of her life. What we wanted to do here was give background information on Marcia, talk about her legacy, the past and the future. So here we have 14 panels, which we're extremely happy about, and I'll go through them. We have a panel, intro panel, of course. Excuse me. We have Marsha P. Johnson, bio information. We have Friends on the Fringes, of people who fought alongside Marsha. We have What is Trans? And all these have been vetted and changed many, many times. We had a number of different groups go over this content to make sure we got it right as much as we could.
Yeah, specifically the Black Trans Media Group, they really helped us refine our content, especially with the What is Trans panel, because it could be defined differently by different groups that you ask. So we really made sure that we reached out to the community. And this panel especially, we're proud of because it involves gender nonconforming, trans women, and all of the above.
Exactly. What are your pronouns? Which is, I think, pretty powerful. And along with all these panels, again, if you want to, you can use the app, and it will pull up additional information, first-person narratives, videos, whatever we can. And what's nice about this, once this is done, it's there, right? You can change it. But with the app, you can update that real time. And you can access this information. You don't have to go to the park, which is extremely valuable. The vast majority of that people who experience this content might be at home. Intersectionality, which is another amazing concept to get into this park. Stonewall Rebellion, of course. Started something new. Talks about the queer LGBT community and greater visibility. Star House, which Sylvia and Marcia were part of and started. It's just phenomenal. To have it in this park's amazing. This slide talking about the history didn't start at Stonewall, so we give a history, at least history before Stonewall. Say the names, of course. What is drag? The house ball scene.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Hi. This is Mariah Lopez, head of STAR. And I just want to say, I don't know if Anika is on this call.
Mm-hmm.
Is Anika on this call?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Anika. So I just text Jesse Campo Amor and Matt McMorrow of the governor's office. And the reason I'm on this call as head of Marsha and Sylvia's organization is to express the community's concerns. And I do not speak for the family, but since meeting them last year, I believe we've shared notes. And I'm going to say my blood is boiling at the level of misrepresentation about who was consulted and when. And I'm going to just say this now. I just text the governor's office. So Molly and the other young lady, I don't care what you think is going to be in that park. It will not be this. And I don't care. I am committed to forming a wall or a line of organizers to interrupt construction, to destroy it, copy me down, record it. Everything I just heard was not either true or meant to mislead. So we are the old. I'm going to turn it back over and wait for comments. But no, this is what's not happening. And I asked for Anika because I really want to excuse having to even subject the family to this. But what happened is a group of people selected who were the other people who were important, not the ones that didn't say what they didn't want to hear. You guys went with Black Trans Media because, unlike Star, they were desperate for something they could cling to and say, we did this. And I'm telling you that since talking to Anika and other leaders, Kiara St. James, y'all have to know her name, Rusty and Chelsea, who knew Sylvia and Marsha, we all agree it will not be this. I'm going to mute myself, but stop saying y'all consulted the Black trans community. We are the Black trans community. You pick and you choose. You divided the community because you knew Star did not get along with Black Trans Media.
All right. Thank you very much for letting, this is the chairperson.
Wait, hold on. Wait. A Black trans woman is speaking. You will simmer down.
No,
I'm going to turn it back over. Wait, hold on.
Disrespectful. I just don't want.
No, lies are disrespectful.
No,
lies are
I'm
disrespectful.
not being disrespectful. Okay. But we want to hear
again,
from
a
others.
deputy secretary, while you were talking, just responded to my text. Remember that this is the entire point of this meeting is to be transparent and honest so that the community and the public can hear what's going on.
Definitely.
No, half of the facts that she just said were not accurate. They were not. So I'm going to mute myself because I want this to be a civil process. But if you didn't know who we are, you know now.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I do hope we get a chance to talk. The value your input, I do. And I really do.
Just so y'all know, I'm the person that got her case reopened, and that is a Snapple fact. And I don't brag about that, but half of the people on this call would not have heard of Marsha if in 2012 the media didn't start recovering her case. Everybody else had forgotten about her. So just know who's on the phone. I'm muting myself, and I will not talk again out of turn.
I would love to talk to you. I would.
This is.
No, I appreciate that. Through this process, we're doing all we can to reach out to various groups. We're not trying to select any one group. We're trying to do what we can to bring the right people. So, so that gives you an idea of the flower.
There's a lot.
So,
Bill,
So you see the mural, yes. So the mural is here. Please know that it is so interactive. Again, you can use your phone. Each flower has a date and a description, and you'll be able to use your app to bring up additional information, videos, images, again, and narratives, interviews. And you'll be able to do that at the entrance of the concrete slab. And there's been a lot of information about this slab. It was existing. There was a concrete slab that, as far as I know, it was not going to go away. What do you do with that? We wanted to make sure that it was a space for the public, for events, for protests. I think that's a really powerful statement. We've shared this vision with literally hundreds of LGBT people, queer people, and most of it's positive, not all of it. Everybody has a different view. You ask a person something, you get 100 different answers. But that gives you an idea of where we're going with this. Again, the idea was to be bold, to provide a contrast with the historical nature of the park. So you had these things that didn't quite fit in, and they were meant to be seen, and that's where we're going with this.
You thought you were going with this?
No. I think, can we talk after this? I would love to talk to you.
We can. And Molly, I just want to say you're an artist. You are the last person that I'm actually annoyed at in this process. You didn't do this.
No,
when
I
I mean
want
we
to
didn't.
talk to you. I want to incorporate your thoughts
No,
in this.
I will, but
Okay,
listen,
yeah,
wait,
please.
but we are
We
not.
want to move forward, and we want to hear every voice that we can. So, Molly, are you finished with your presentation right now?
Wait, I'm gonna speak. I only stopped speaking because of her. Philip,
Right.
you need to know something. I'm gonna just move back. My grandfather, just a little history, was on. My grandfather founded the Brooklyn Navy Yard. You might have even heard of him, Edward Carter. So this spirit that you hear speaking, this isn't just Sylvia. My grandfather helped develop the most successful and productive part of the waterfront in Brooklyn right now. So you will listen and you will stop speaking over me, because what we're going to do is plan moving forward. Let me say that one more time. My grandfather was Edward Carter. Carter here. That's what he used to say when he answered the phone. I'm telling you, you're going to listen. Now, Molly, if my frustration boils over when we speak in a present or future tense as if this is where we are going with this. I'm going to let the artists and the community drive this call and not try to dominate it. But I was invited. I didn't know this was happening by other people who were feeling steamrolled. And I'm the motherfucking steamroller here.
Okay, please
okay? So, Molly, Hun, Star, Marsha's organization that is in multiple states, that has hundreds of members still. We think that going forward, the change has to be so radical in terms of more trees. No, there will be less concrete. That when you speak on this planning call about where it's going, right, in May, June, July, then we think you're gaslighting us. And what I am compelled to do is, I don't know, organize a bunch of people to stop the bulldozers, or creative things like Marsha would have liked. Can you imagine how much slime we could maybe make with some donations, and have little kids make colorful slime and slime your construction equipment? It's not happening. So we can use this time to talk about plants and trees and a new plan that could even involve a public competition for a design. It's not going to be your design as is, Molly, period. And we should stop speaking like it will be.
No, I love what you have to say, and I am all about green space. And if it was redesigned, I would be happy too.
Hideous design. It's awful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Call me later, Molly. I will give you my information. I'm going to mute my mic now.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to hear from other people in the community. I know there's such very strong feelings about this. I'm going to just ask board members to start off. Steve has his hand up. I'll let you start off now, Steve.
Thank you, Phil. And thank you, Molly and Leslie, for the presentation. But I echo from the local community standpoint, I echo the frustration that Mariah just expressed, and that all of this this conflict could have been avoided if state parks had come to the community board and presented their ideas or their proposal, and we had real community input, scoping meetings and design meetings. 2 years ago, you came to the Parks and Waterfront Committee with the park house design, and you accepted feedback, and you went back and you tweaked a couple things, but that's all we knew of. And then fast forward to 2 months ago, lowered the boom on us. And so I'm just deeply offended and frustrated that this $14 million taxpayer-funded amenity during a pandemic where our state parks just had $84 million chopped from the budget last year, that the community was consulted. And I feel like if there was the pure outreach to the LGBT community that Mariah is speaking of, and the local community was involved, we could have created something really spectacular that everyone would have been happy with. But I have such a long list of problems with this design, I know others will be speaking to it, but I just really like Leslie to respond to why she's not, come directly to the community board with the proposal and let the, all the local community and LGBT community weigh in and developed this together so we could have a experience that everyone would really enjoy and properly memorialize this amazing person and have an amazing new park experience. But right now, you have this mural on the ground. Essentially, people are going to walk, eat, and drip food all over the likeness, photographic likeness of Marsha P. Johnson. And it's just amazing that that was signed off on, that was devised, and something we're just this neighborhood, especially North Brooklyn, has such amazing parks. The amazing part of the parks is the naturalistic elements, just amazing gardens going wild, and then blending in historical elements. It's just there's so many fantastic parks going around. And I'm sorry, just one more thing, Phil, is we have a really great process with the City Parks Department, and they're required by law to come in and present capital improvements to the community board. And they have scoping meetings with the public. They take the data, they go back, they come back with a design to the community board. And we had two instances, the Motiva section of Bushwick Inlet Park and Box Street Park, where we went through two iterations. And after really robust conversations with the Parks Department and their designer, really great finished design. And so I feel like for this, I feel like the stakes are so much higher for this park because the community, if it wasn't the community, they wouldn't even have a park.
Right.
But yeah, if Leslie could please respond to why the community board was not consulted about this 2 years ago or soon thereafter, the park house was brought to the board.
Okay.
Steve, thank you very much. The Park House project, as you noted, started a few years back. It was terrific to share it with you all and have the back and forth that we did over a period of time. It frankly was a victim. It would be done by now. That was our original plan, but it was a victim of the red hot construction market that was in play prior to the pandemic. So we had to value engineer it down and rebid it. It's a happy coincidence, really, that it's happening now. The construction market has cooled down significantly. So that's a separate, always was conceived of as a separate, it was on its own track, right? It was conceived of earlier. When the governor in February of 2020 made the announcement, the celebratory announcement to really champion civil rights as represented by the LGBTQ community and movement, that recognition opened the door wide to do a much bigger project at the park. And it was put on a very fast track so that it could be realized for everybody's benefit. And so then the pandemic hit shortly thereafter, right? So opportunities for people to get together and talk about things were tremendously changed. We did announce the project as soon as the core design was put together in August. There was a pretty good amount of media about it. The event that we held in August, that was still COVID time, so the number of people.
Hold on, wait. Leslie, I just want to insert something because it's important. Anika is here, and I'm sorry if I look crazy. I've been on Zooms all day. Let me give y'all some hair since this is a Marsha thing. Let me give y'all some hair. So in August, we threw the biggest birthday party for the community that had happened for Marsha ever. It was enormous. We spent thousands of dollars on cake, fed everybody. When you say stuff that happened in August, everyone here should know this, and I didn't want to drag this person in the mud, but it has to be stated. Matt McMorrow, who was aware that Marsha had family and was aware that Star is in existence, chose not to. Is everyone listening to me? He knew that the family and Star would be together on Marsha's birthday, and he chose not to tell us. Maybe he forgot. but I don't think so. So when you make reference, Leslie, to things that happen in August, Star hears, oh yeah, there's that trauma again. When a white gay person decided, yeah, you know what, Mariah's not so polite. So we're not going to tell Mariah, but here's the rub again. Everybody keeps referencing her family. Guess who was eating cake with Star on the pier? Her family. So they didn't tell her family to spite Star. So we weren't invited. There were allegedly no Black trans people there. And as Sylvia Rivera's actual daughter, wait, I'm going to just 1 second. I have an actual article of clothing just sent to me by Chelsea Goodwin. If I were Sylvia Rivera's daughter, I wouldn't have this piece of clothing that belonged to Sylvia Rivera. But because I have it, this is Sylvia's vest. Look at this. I'm telling you that I'm Sylvia's daughter. You don't think you should have invited Sylvia Rivera's daughter to the opening of the Marsha P. Johnson State Park along with Marsha's family? So.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mariah. I don't mean to cut you off. Hello, everyone. This is Anika. I am Marsha's great niece. I also represent my family. We are very saddened, as well as I would almost say disgusted by the lack of transparency that has taken place. My family was contacted in regards to the groundbreaking of the park. I want to say over the summer, maybe August or so. We were not aware that the community had disagreement with the park design. We were somewhat caught out of the loop in that regard. So I am going to sit here and take back all of the information that I am receiving from you all. But one thing for certain is that we will not allow our beloved Marsha P. Johnson's name to be exploited for either political or personal gain. So I just wanted to make that very clear.
To speak anymore. I'm muting myself. There you go. You heard it.
Phil, can I just
go ahead, Steve?
Yeah, thank you. Look, I just feel, Leslie, I feel like the bottom line is the community board is blown off in this process, and said it's just too big a project. The stakes are too high, and I feel like this project needs to stop immediately because there's just so much discord, so much frustration over this design.
Yes.
And I feel like should come back, have the meetings, the design meetings that were supposed to take place, and come up with a true worthy design of this park and of Marsha P. Johnson.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Steve. I feel the same way you do. Listening to the family members and all, it seems like everybody, everybody's against this. And I don't know if we can start from scratch, but that might be the way. That might be the only way we can go right now. Is just too much. I had no idea that there was just so much dissatisfaction, this much at all. So I don't know where we can go, but I kind of echo that, Steve.
Phil? Do you think we should hear the presentation from?
Hold on, Tom.
Phil?
Another board member. Tom, jump in.
I think we need to go back to how New York State Parks Recreation and Historical Preservation deals with us on a regular basis. We've had meetings with Leslie before in Joe's office about concerns about that waterfront park, the use of that park. The state decides what it wants that park for. Using that whole southern slab for a food festival when we have such a shortage of public space in North Brooklyn. The young people, the South Side, would like to see handball courts and basketball courts on that slab of whatever, not food vendors for the tourists. We've tried to get state parks to think that they should get our input, and we were told at that last meeting that Leslie just flat out said it. She doesn't need the approval of the community board. This proposal was put out, as an applause line, naming this park. And we've all asked, where was the input from our local community? Like there's the lesbian and gay kids at El Puente. There's the lesbian and gay kids at St. Nick's. There's the kids from our various housing developments that may have wanted to had input into this, not just you know, people like me. I know Marcia from when I was on Christopher Street, but you know, I can't speak for her or speak for her family or anything like that. And it doesn't have to do with this particular park. It's the way state parks has dealt with the community board one, that they just feel that they don't have to get any input from us. You know, and your committee works really hard, and Mary has done a wonderful job with us with city parks. So that's the problem, is getting the state parks to understand that our community needs input.
Yeah, it is an issue, Tom, and we you know, as Steve said, it would have been nice if we would have all sat down and got the input from the community and all, and probably, like Steve said, we wouldn't be sitting here right now in this situation and all. So I really don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I don't think anybody's really happy with what's going on, and nobody is going to be happy if state moves forward without.
Phil, can you ask? Is there anybody right now that's here that has any different opinion from what we've all heard? Because I think that there's nowhere to go if there's nobody has a different opinion than what we're hearing.
We could ask that question, Jan, but I know from talking to, you know, seeing the emails and all, there's coalitions that have joined in. As of before we came to this meeting, there was a petition had over 1,500 signatures on it, Jan.
Right. I mean, this is a hearing right now, so I'm just curious to find out what people here think.
Phil,
Sunday, go ahead.
Definitely, everybody said everything that we want to hear, and from the community, from Marsha's family, and definitely we said too much. Tom said beautifully about the relation with the state park. But I want to say something about the design. We always spoke about we want naturalized space and nature, you know, but something that could happen again somewhere else and shouldn't happen is that this is not about designing park. This design is completely unrelated to park design. This is an installation. This could be a graphic for a trade show. I don't even know what has to do with park, and now we are battling and we have to follow all the presentation again. This is unrelated to park design. They are parks designer. They are architects. They are specialized in that. Some are naturalists, some are non-naturalists, but no park designer will bring a plastic installation into a park. So let's stop presenting even this type of idea, because
I
it's
think
crazy.
Marsha would say, oop, I'm muting myself. Oop.
And it's so elementary, it's so basic. I believe it is the most insulting, you know, to the gay community. There is a flag that should represent a person that was a gay person or whatever. It's kind of crazy. It's insulting. We represent it by creating something beautiful for the community. That's how we honor, you know, people that we want to remember. You know, not by kind of simulating something with plastic, with a graphic design. Let's bring the graphic where it needs to be used. That's all. I don't have to say anything else. Let's not repeat something like this.
Yes, I understand. I get.
Phil, can I ask a question?
Before I open up the floor, I just want to. Any of the elected officials are still with us that would like to speak? Hold on.
You know what? I think Christina Naplatarski is here.
Yes, she does. I'm just looking. I guess Antonio left us. I guess he had to go too. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Wait, sorry. I'm here on behalf of Senator Kavanaugh. I just wanted to say that I'm here. I'm really happy that we were able to have this meeting. I respect everyone's voices and bravery. And I also want to say, for those who experienced hostility directly aimed at them, I know that a lot of things are being said that aren't necessarily being received by the people who are responsible. Thank you all very much. And please, I think most of you have my contact information by this point, but I'll put it in the chat again. And of course, look forward to talking more. But and then also, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. Just as a reminder to those who didn't know, our office, along with Assemblywoman Gallagher's office, Councilmember Levin's office, and Congresswoman Maloney's office sent a letter to the Parks Commissioner last week asking for park construction to be paused until this meeting. That wasn't addressed yet. But anyway, just putting all of that information out there. And again, thank you all for taking time to be here and to talk about this together.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I hope we bring this back to the Senate and let them know what's being said here tonight. There was also Steve Levy was on that. We had a few of our elected officials asking, please stop everything until we heard.
Was the construction actually stopped? I don't think it was stopped.
They asked for it, so but I think now I think it's a definite. People, this can't move forward. This just can't move forward like this.
Hi, Phil. It's Emil Bazil, the district leader.
Yes, Emil. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to say I'm here and I'm listening to everyone's concerns, and I think we really do have to go back to the drawing board on this. There's no way that we can continue with something like this with this much disagreement within the community. That there hasn't been any strong community engagement, and members of the family have come forward and spoke about this, and we need to go back to the drawing board. Our community has been blessed with strong advocates for park and open space and green space, and we have a ton of people here who have been very active in creating the green space and creating Greenpoint, Williamsburg parks for what it is today. And if we don't have that engagement moving forward, then why are we here for? I think it's very important to bring it back to the community.
Definitely. Christine, I know you wanted to get in. Go ahead. Jump in. Unmute her.
Phil, can I say something? It's Mary O'Damara.
Oh, okay, Mary. Okay, I'm trying to get Christina in, but okay, Mary, let me see. You got to go ahead, Mary. If you get in first, and then we'll get her in. Go ahead, Mary. Unmute yourself. Mary, unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, I just want to say that I'm representing Congresswoman Maloney,
right.
And she took a supportive role to lead elected officials, Assemblywoman Gallagher and Senator Kavanaugh, and we feel that we need to support to stop the construction until we come to some kind of viable solution.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Carol was on that letter with everybody else. I meant to say that. Yes. Yeah.
Phil, are we good?
Let Christina go. Oh, there she is. Unmute yourself.
I did. Can people hear me?
There you go. Now you're in. Okay.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I please speak?
Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So I'll be really brief. I'm just here because I want to echo the outcry that's come from this community, and really just the call to halt the construction. Right. This is construction that was started with 2 days notice, and on a redesign that had wholly insufficient input from North Brooklyn residents, and now, as we're learning, from the LGBTQ community. And I also want to point out that this is not an isolated incident. This fits into a pattern of the fact that our community has had to fight for scraps only to have it be halted or pushed back or pushed to the side by the government, right? It was last month that we were rallying for the MTA to stop dragging their feet on Box Street Park. And here we are again with a fiat decision being brought down from Albany, not by the residents who are actually going to use this park. So we need open space, We do not have enough in North Brooklyn, but that open space has got to be green space, and it has got to be receptive to community needs and community wants, and this ain't it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Trina, did the coalition, maybe they wanted to speak, someone wanted to speak for them?
I think, Kate York, do you have a presentation that you wanted to?
Just want to make it, because I know you represent a lot of people, so I'd like you to get the voice in here.
I have some slides. We'll see if I can share them, and if you can, as I attempt to navigate my way. Okay. So, just to start with, Brooklyn is Lenape land. People from Europe started coming here, and there were also a large number of African slaves living here. Brooklyn had the most slaves in New York, and New York City had the most slaves in New York State. 32% of the population of Williamsburg, Greenpoint, and Bushwick were enslaved. And this community also became an amazing hub of abolitionist and suffragist activity. So with that background, just to go in little history, Brooklyn was a huge booming industrial center. This is North 9th Street. This is Marsha P. Johnson State Park when it was being used to transport rail cars by boat and then have them transferred onto trains. This is what it looked like with the train yards and the piers. And then after manufacturing declined and it was abandoned, this is what it looked like. The community cleaned up the park and worked to make it into a space they could enjoy. They were also fighting horrendous garbage policy in the city, where they were shutting down incinerators, which was excellent, but they weren't making any alternative measures, and they were planning to close Fresh Kills landfill. So it was entirely private carting, and we were suffering under half of the city's garbage was transported in trucks, dumped in our neighborhood, moved around, packed into trucks, and transported out. USA Waste looked at that site and thought it would be terrific for a garbage facility. We fought that. The community fought several incinerators, garbage dumps, radioactive waste transfer stations, several power plants, several Superfund sites, one of the largest oil spills in the world, noxious industry, and an abundance of truck traffic. All the while organizing for a park and planning for open space. As of this period of time, we had 26 square feet of open space. The citywide average was 158 square feet. Then Transgas Energy came along, and it was an 8-year battle to defeat them, which we prevailed. Finally, after fighting garbage transfer stations, box stores, a multiplex, Transgas Energy, and luxury residential development, we get our park. It opened in May 2007, and this is what it looked like. And we loved it. Planted trees, sowed grass. Then we were excited to find out that it was going to be renamed for the icon Marsha P. Johnson. But now, with no warning, the state is covering our park in asphalt and plastic with this vision, which I find enraging and appalling. This is our park now. Bulldozers have been active this whole time without our input whatsoever. Obviously, our input was not sought because we would have slowed down or stopped the process. They're decorating the park with plastic-covered foam flowers, which the presentation did not convince me were anything more than a PowerPoint presentation glued onto plastic and stuck up on metal frames. So, okay, maybe it's not over an acre, but look at this picture. Is that the vision of the park that we fought for? Marsha P. Johnson loved real flowers. Here are some real flowers. This is the kind of vision that we had for our park. Real flowers. So let's make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. First of all, my apologies for coming on late. However, I was taking care of another situation. I'm Marsha's cousin, James, and I find this, and I'm the activist in the family, and I want to say, but I find this going back and forth the most appalling, okay? And I feel like my family as a whole, we were deceived, okay? I heard Leslie say that they reached out, they sent out a whole list of media stuff. We didn't find out about the park being named. When we found out, we were attending another event, the birthday party for that Mariah was alluding to previously. No one reached out to us. I sent several emails with the receipts to Raymond Rodriguez, Ms. Zayas. I sent it to the governor personally, and none of them had decency of responding to me, knowing that I'm the Marsha's next of kin. And now I'm sitting here listening to you guys going back and forth. It's appalling, it's absurd. No one reached out to my family. No one. And they can't say they didn't have the information. It's not like my family's deceased. David France did a documentary. He knows my family is still around. He spoke to my cousin Albie and my cousin Jeannie. So now you guys are going back and forth, back and forth. It's appalling. And to those of you that say that you know my cousin, it's appalling in her memory. And then for us, my family, to be blindsided like we were, is absurd, preposterous. And I'm not going to accept this. No one's going to be exploiting my cousin's name or my family for political and personal gain.
James?
I feel like my family was used.
That's why we're all meeting here.
That's it, James. James, these are things we did not know. And that's why we have
say
this.
something, and I'm not gonna keep because they said everything I needed. I just want to clear back.
Go ahead.
So while I'm talking to y'all, the governor's office is texting me saying, because I said, "Ooh, they're the lies are coming out," and the specific lies are this. Here are the facts. Star and the family, at least as of the week of August the 20th, had communications with Matthew McMorrow, who worked for the city before, so he knows Marsha's family from doing that work for Mayor de Blasio. They knew we were planning a humongous party for her, and they knew that we were aware of plans for the park and chose not to tell us. So James is letting y'all know that as soon as we were recovering from the birthday bash of a lifetime on August 25th, when we started getting messages. In fact, many of you here know Melissa Sklarz. That's sort of like my auntie. She knew Sylvia and everything. She texted me photos, and other people started saying, why were there no Black trans women there? So since August the 24th, at least, the family or the chamber and any state entity under the executive chamber had the chance into the early fall. James, myself, Anika were talking and organizing. Like James just said, y'all may not know it, but Marsha has a family of activists. Go figure. We were all talking. The election was coming up, and we were promised. I was promised that they were hearing us. So I want to turn it back over to James, but at least since August, and everybody keeps referencing her family, but STAR is her organization. So her family is the most important entity, but I don't want to hear a scrap about another group when we are in existence too. Y'all think Marsha would say, yeah, forget the group that me and Sylvia founded? I'm muting myself again.
I mean, thank you, Mariah. And at the end of the day, I want to say, as an activist, I'm on the side of the people. Okay.
Right.
I'm appalled how myself, Anika, my cousin Al, and Shelly, how we were invited to all these events. Only individuals have been transparent with us is the event that we went to that Mariah held. I sent correspondence to Raymond Rodriguez, who's the chief of staff for Richie Torres. I sent email correspondence to Ms. Zayas or Zoyas. I guess she's the Bronx representative of the governor. I sent correspondences to the governor personally. Let him know that our family as a whole, we're happy that you're naming the park in memory of our family member. However, please, when the occasion arrives, please include us. Not one person, no one responded, and I find that absurd.
That's sad.
It's disrespectful to say the least. And no one is going to exploit my family for political or personal gain.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Phil, there's someone, Christina Herrera, who wants to speak.
Okay, because then, you know what? Let me just say this. I don't want to stop anybody from speaking their mind, but I think we have one
Phil,
life.
Christina would be very important, Phil.
Okay, go ahead, Christina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina. I'm from the Trans-Latina Network. We're based here in New York City. And so what I wanted to share was the fact that right now we have an opportunity to really make this right. For personal experience, I live down the block, a block away from there. And I feel that that park has a lot of potential. And for us to know that it was dedicated to one of our leaders, it's like super important. So I feel that, there is still time. They can modify it. If there's something that can be done about that south platform, that platform, I live a block away. It's only used once a week during the summertime for the smorgasbord, and then it's useless. That space there could have like a multi-use, and apart from that, we do a picnic there every year, barbecue, Trans by the River, and we need more barbecue space.
Can I make a suggestion, Christina? How are you?
Sure.
One of the things, and I want to turn it over, I've known Christina a while and I didn't want to interrupt her, but she'll tell you this because we've worked on similar issues. One of the things, and this is why I was piggybacking off of James for the family and Star's wishes to be important, we have no transgender memorial in the whole city. So I heard someone say, Christina's voice will be important. So will Mariah Lopez and Star. And this isn't a competition, but while Christina was working at the center, Star has been pushing for a transgender memorial. Isn't that true, Christina? For years, we've been working for a so we all have plans. We can table a lot of this for what it should look like, because
but let me
what
finish,
we shouldn't
Mariah.
do, I just want to say, hold on. This is how we got here. We have groups that have the capacity to represent all of us. That's what Star does. And we don't need people. It may look like I'm grandstanding. I'm bulldozing, honey. We should move on, like the board members were just saying, the board leaders, and agree. We come to the table later, and we work out on behalf of Marsha in her memory with the family what this will look like. We don't need grandstanding. I hear you got political ideologies. Good, amazing. We can talk about that later. And Star has been pushing for memorials and park space longer than anybody on this call. Thank you.
So going forward, we should just really advocate for the design to be changed to reflect what the community needs and what the neighborhood needs, and then we can go from there. But hopefully this process can be a smooth process, a process that can unify us, not fragment us. We need like more, collaboration and less infighting, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So like I was trying to say, I don't want to I don't want to not repeat the speech, but I do think we're all like-minded right now. And I think we have to, we'll go before the board at our board meeting and we'll have to send a letter saying that they have to almost start from scratch right now. Nobody wants to move forward with this.
Bill, so,
Give me an opinion. Go ahead, Steve.
I would just say, I know we're sort of beating a dead horse, but there are members of the community here. I feel like,
I know.
yeah,
I understand. Like I said, I don't want to. People been waiting, but if they want to speak, we'll all stay and listen. But if we're going to just be repetitious, we all feel the same. I believe. I mean, if anybody wants to say something, go ahead. We'll listen.
Well, I know.
I'm ready to say something.
Okay.
I'm ready. Danny Martinez, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, with this back and forth, there's so much competition in the community, which is normal. I see it all the time. I'm a long-time activist. I'm a Hispanic community. And it's really sad. What is that noise? What is that noise? Anyway, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, David G is back.
Okay, so I'm a long time community activist in the trans community and LGBT community, but I see that our Hispanic community is forgotten. Like the same thing happened in the straight community, our community, Hispanic community is forgotten, and the LGBT community is forgotten, and the trans community is also forgotten. Marsha P. Johnson is not the only one. What about Silvia Rivera? The park should have both names. And to me, that's just being racist, including for the white liberals, and I'm talking about for the black people. Because both should be included, not just one. That's being selfish. And that's
I agree with her. I agree with her on that. I just want to just say that as Sylvia's daughter, and I don't want to interrupt her. I agree with her there. And even if we could do two parks, because we were pushing one for Manhattan, that's what I just said to Christina. And even Danique will tell you, we've been pushing for a memorial in Manhattan where Marsha died.
It's true.
But to keep them together, I agree.
Our community, Hispanic community, within the trans community has to be forgotten. And that's really sad and messed up because Silvia Rivera was part of the history too. So you want to do two parts? Okay, one for Marsha and one for Silvia.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll be happy, and a lot of my Hispanic people will be happy too. Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I have to say. No more. Oh, just to finish it up. And when it comes to people back and forth of that, they want a plastic flower. You can do both. Please, both people. One side plastic, one side natural flowers. And you please both. Problem solved. So come to a middle term. That's my opinion on that. Everybody going back and forth with the plastic thing. You can do both. One section just beautiful flowers, another section plastic. And both people are completed. Both people. Thank you. That's my opinion.
Are we going to ask New York State Park? Maybe we should hear from them at this point.
Chair, this is District Leader Olivares.
Oh, Sammy is there. Hi, Sammy.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm very moved and I'm here in solidarity with what the transgender TGNC community has.
Can't hear you, man.
Unmute yourself.
He's not muted. It's the signal. Somebody message him that we didn't hear him.
There he is.
So, do you hear me?
Go ahead. We just got you.
Oh, now? Oh, well, thank you. I was saying that thank you so much. I'm District Leader Sammy Nemir Olivares. I represent parts of Williamsburg, and I'm also part of the LGBTQ community. And I want to echo deeply the voices of the transgender community, including Mariah, including Christina Herrera, Dinick, and James. I think that the name of Silvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson are sacred, and it needs to be respected and listened to. as well. So that space and North Brooklyn, and thank you, Kate, for that presentation of the environmental justice history in North Brooklyn. So I also echo the voices of the advocates, of the district leaders and the elected officials calling for a halt on this and going back to the design board. I think it respects that. And I want to strongly also echo what Mariah and Dini said. The park should be renamed Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. It is not a surprise. We know that Los Sures was a 90% Puerto Rican and Black community. So it is not a better reflection of the history of that area. That to name it for both Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson were friends and didn't do anything without the others. So not only the name, but the design should reflect that. And I think that a design that in both the transgender community, the TGNC community is very artistic, very talented, and will be very willing to participate in that brainstorming and that design. So I'm offering as well myself to be a resource to engage with TGNC, the LGBTQ community, but many of them are here. And yes, I would strongly suggest not only the LGBTQ community, but the geographical area, the old timers of the Latino and the Black community who were, pushed out by displacement in that area. Thank you for listening, for being open to go back. And I'm also concerned about the design, that it needs to reflect also the push for more greenery and more environmental justice, hopeful. But that to say, it's beautiful to see a trans flag display. It's beautiful to see the words of Marsha P. Johnson. I also recognize the intention and that part of the attention that it is behind, but I think the intention is right. I think the execution is a little bit it falls short of what the community would like. So I'm looking forward to see the beautiful legacy of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera there. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that we can go back to the starting point on this design.
Thank you for your input. Thank you very much for your input. So, again, does anybody would like to speak?
Yeah, Phil, I think it's important. I believe Biz Mitchell has a letter and that contains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Nope, she's muted. You're muted, Elizabeth.
Unmute. There we go. Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Now you're unmuted.
I simply wanted to again reiterate that the sort of support for the idea of reconsidering the park. The Stop the Plastic Park, Plant Flowers Instead for Marsha P. Johnson had 1,529 signatures as we started the meeting. The letter that went to Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Parks Commissioner has only been circulating for a very few days, and yet we already had the following organizations sign on, and we are inviting and welcoming all who would like to sign on. It's the American Indian Community House, Bark Brooklyn Animal Resources Coalition, Community Education Council District 14, the Firehouse North Brooklyn Community Center, Friends of Box Street Park, Friends of Bushwick Inlet Park, Friends of Cooper Park, Friends of East River State Park, Friends of Transmitter Park, Kingsland Wildflowers, Los Sures Southside United HDFC, Make Steam, McGorlick Park Neighborhood Alliance, Milton Street Block Association, National Congress of Neighborhood Women, Newtown Creek Alliance, North Brooklyn Neighbors, North Brooklyn Open Space Stewards, Prevention Access Campaign, St. Nick's Alliance, STAR Strategic Trans Alliance for Radical Reform, Sustainable Williamsburg, Town Square Brooklyn, United Neighbors Organization, and the Well Project. And again, we're welcoming more people to sign on, but I think that speaks very strongly to the widespread call.
A lot of community support. Yes, a lot of community support. Oh, well, wait a minute. I think Sante was right about something. Leslie, we'll give you basically the last word before we go on. What What do you say after hearing this right now?
Can I interrupt with one thing?
Well, I want Leslie, I think, give her a chance to respond to what we've been talking about right now.
Thank you, Phil. I really just want to thank you all for being honest, in some cases quite brutally honest when sharing your feelings. We're here to listen. I just want to say that our designer is an artist, and I think all artists need to be respected for their vision. You don't have to agree with it, but we all need to show each other the same respect that we all want ourselves. So I just thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your words, and I look forward to working with you more.
Hey, before we close out, Leslie, I have to. It's something I have to ask you this. You didn't feel that it was imperative to let my family know about the impasse that we were walking into?
You're directing that at?
To Leslie, because we came over to Williamsburg, and if you knew there was an ongoing impasse going on, why did you allow my family to be like blindsided and walking in the middle of this impasse?
James,
He's going to answer what I'll say, James, is that Black trans issues are hot, and they try to
Mariah, please, Mariah, all due respect, let her answer that question. Please allow her to answer that question.
James, I will only say that in the park, around the park, in the community, we have heard a lot of very positive feedback on this. As Molly pointed out, we have done extensive outreach. She spent a lot of hours talking with people, and from all sides of the LGBT community. I know that, as she said, there's always 100 more to speak to, so that work is clearly not done. The short answer is, of course, we would never want you to feel like you're walking into anything that's loaded in any way. So I sincerely apologize for any impression of that. I spoke with Anika earlier today, and I just hope to continue the dialogue with my agency, and I both hope to continue the dialogue with you and just come to a better understanding.
And moving forward, because I feel like you're filibustering right now, but moving forward, if you're going to do something in my cousin's name, okay, at the end of the day, ultimately, we're on the side of the people, okay? And we had no idea that this impasse was going on. You know how we feel, how I feel as an activist. I feel like that this was a campaign of mass deception. And we were, my family, because we're the family members of Marsha P. Johnson, we were exploited.
And just to piggyback off of that, Leslie, we did speak earlier today, and as I mentioned on our phone call, that I thought it was imperative that I attend this meeting so that I was aware of what was going on behind the scenes that we weren't made privy to.
Okay, all right.
Phil, I was saying, so I'd like to basically make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
So
Go ahead.
Can I just say something first?
More people want to speak. So.
Can I just say one short thing about public art and memorials? Because there can be a very long, a process that's broad and deep for considering how to do a public memorial. And this design, we do not say that you didn't spend time trying to figure something out about how to say something about Marsha, but it's more of a museum exhibit, not a park exhibit. I don't know why you didn't consider doing, a bronze arch or get a really serious type of art project that is, statuesque, enduring. Plastic is just over the top. Plastic is a bit as I talked to some gay elders about it, they said this was very over the top and offhand, actually kind of offhand. And this is not what I consider public art that is an actual memorial. There's a process for figuring out how to do public art memorials, and it shouldn't include the depth and breadth of that type of process. And I'll just let it go at that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to be able to say a few words too.
Please close your mic. A lot of people have the mic on.
Somebody's mic is on. It's
There are
hard to
10
hear.
mics. 10 microphones are on right now. Please close it.
Can people close their mics, please? So I'd just like to say that I believe that by sections, it is more than an acre. If you look at the schematic, I believe that it's 120 feet by 480 feet, which is 57,000 square feet, which is more than 43,560 feet, which is an acre.
Uh-oh, what happened? Somebody muted you, or you muted yourself.
Kate, unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Okay. So what, I hope you heard that part of it. I believe it is more than an acre. Okay. What I really want to say is this goes above the New York State people who are here. This goes to the top, not only in terms of what was ordered, but in terms of a vision for a park. That comes from the top. And a park is supposed to be about nature, not plastic. How on earth in this day and age are we putting an acre of plastic, yes, plastic in a park, and then building drainage so that the runoff can go into the bioswales for millions of dollars instead of just building a garden and imaginative elements, which would really, really be something for the legacy of Marsha P. Johnson. It's incredulous. It's an outrage. And we need to go back to the drawing board, and I will join with Mariah and everybody else to do a sit-in and whatever we need to do, because construction has to stop.
You can include me too, Danny Martinez.
We're all on the same page, okay? Steve, you with me, Steve?
I think there's one question that
Who has
State
your
Park
hand
hasn't answered is will they stop construction right away?
Well,
let's hear it.
I'll just say that everything that
I'm going to let him finish. I just put the name of Matt McMorrow. Again, government does have a clear structure, and the human.
You have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I think that just saying, and I'll wrap this up since I just did that dumb thing. What is important, I put the name Matt McMorrow in the chat because that is the LGBT liaison to the chamber who had clear information and could have passed issues along to the chamber and deputy secretaries as of the fall so that we wouldn't be here now. Moving forward, I think that for the question of whether or not it stopped, that also needs to be, we need to cut out even parks. That's not, I'm telling you guys, this is what happens when you don't let trans leaders, that just because we're not as polite as everybody else, lead. We understand politics too. It is the chamber. It is people. David Turley, who is no longer with the chamber, he had nothing to do with this bad stuff. Don't bring him in it. But he is where these ideas began to percolate back and forth between community after Marsha's name became popular again, and where we are now all the way to a park. Matt McMorrow is the missing link and is still the director of LGBT affairs. I spoke with Matt yesterday. when Kate brought this meeting to my attention. So the chamber, even while this call was happening, has been made aware. We can stop asking what Parks is going to do, and we need to direct the attention to the chamber.
Steve, I'm calling you back, Steve. Where'd you go? Steve.
Yeah, I was hope Leslie will respond to my question.
Leslie, Steve's asking this question.
I'm sorry, Steve. Could you repeat the question?
Will State Park cease construction on the redesign immediately?
I'm going to take everything that I've heard tonight back and have a conversation with the agency. It's not my decision to make. But I hear you. I've heard the request. I've heard what everyone has said. I've taken notes, and I will do my job.
Okay.
We can let one more day go by with bulldozers on the property. This has been unacceptable. And we have to stop it immediately. We can't wait until you talk to somebody and they talk to somebody. This has to happen immediately. We can't wait any longer. Damage has been done.
What human beings, Kate, let's ask Leslie, which humans, this is democracy. Which humans, this is the nicest I'm going to be the whole call because I need to be taken seriously. Leslie, which humans, what are the small 4 to 5 group of people, the heads of the agencies that you are going to bring this disastrous information to? Who are the humans under the governor who are responsible for hearing your report back?
The executive team in my agency, the commissioner.
And is it going to be elevated to the level of the chamber? Because a Black trans woman has told you in her true voice that I spoke with them and I'm getting different information from the chamber. And since this is a Governor Cuomo project, this is a chamber issue. So between the heads of parks, which are essentially under the executive, are we going to bring it back to the chamber? Is it going to include everyone? Are we going to talk accountability for Matt McMorrow and others who let this go on so long? James and others from the family have been harmed. We need accountability and answers in terms of which humans.
Thank you. Everyone will hear about this meeting. Everyone is very interested in this meeting. That all the folks that you have mentioned. So yes, full report will go back.
The meeting right now. They can come and answer to the community now. The community, that tax-paying people who are represented by our elected officials, all of whom asked you at least a week ago to stop construction. Now you ignored them. We are here asking you again. I think you should get them on the phone so they can answer. You cannot tell me that you cannot give us an answer. We will not leave until you give us the answer we are looking for. I'm sick of this.
Me,
you blew us off before and you're blowing us off again.
You know, and Leslie, as official representative and representative of Governor Cuomo, you should go back and convey to the powers that be, who you answer to, that after being deceived, the family feels that it would look real bad for that administration in wake of everything that's going on with him, us leading the protest outside of the park.
Or taking the banner as ransom. It's very pretty. It would look better on Christopher Street. We could take the banner and march with it.
All right, everybody, listen, I think we know where we got to go with this. So does the committee want to make a recommendation? Steve, do we want to make a recommendation?
Yes.
Right now?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
Please put a motion on the floor, Steve.
For a resolution, number one, that the state parks and the state cease construction on the redesign of Marsha P. Johnson State Park.
Right.
That they
meet with the community. Yes.
Convene with vast, just with the community at a tremendous scale, both the local community and to the LGBT community.
And Martha's family, of course.
Especially
The family first.
The family of Martha.
Marcia's family, but
Marcia's
others as well. But if, you know, so that's key, and you know, that should stop the not cease the thermoplastic asphalt slab mural and the foam core flowers on the gantry park. Anything else?
It's basically to stop it, Steve. You could really been said it in a couple of words, but you've added more to it, so it's okay.
I
It's to
second
stop
the
traffic
motion.
and move ahead.
I second the motion.
And all in favor, all committee members?
Aye.
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 Of course not. Abstentions? None? Thank you all.
Phil, who seconded that motion? Because I didn't hear.
Sante.
Sante.
Shelley.
Sante, okay.
Sante, second it.
Marie, you save a file of the chat as part of the minute?
It probably won't be available till tomorrow.
Okay, but it will be saved. Okay.
Hopefully it'll come down from the cloud. Yes.
All right. Thank you all. This was a fantastic meeting. Thank you all for your input.
Can I say before we close about the chat, it can just be copy and paste into a Word document, just in case we want to lose trace.
There's no way I can copy and paste it from where I am until the document comes available.
I have it copied and pasted. I'll post it for you guys.
Is the
plug too from Marcia's organization.
Okay.
How will Leslie report back to us?
Well,
Leslie, how do you intend to report back to the community?
I will correspond with the community through the community board.
And our elected officials, I would hope.
Excuse me?
And we're gonna keep our state officials, their feet to the fire. We want to see what they're gonna do to make sure they're working hand in hand with us.
I want to know what are we as a community going to do if they start pouring the concrete tomorrow? Because I spoke to the construction workers, I just want to say today, and they said they're pouring next week. So I just want everyone to be aware that they're going to we should all keep eyes on, because the workers today said they're ready to pour. Just FYI.
Well, Ryan, after a meeting like this, I can't believe they would do something like that, but anything's possible.
I believe
I can't believe.
I 100% believe they will pour the concrete so that they can tell us we can't do anything. And I'm just saying they are ready to pour the concrete. And again, Leslie has told us from day one that they don't care what we think. So she's here gaslighting us nonstop, but we all know and we've all been here.
And let me say, I dropped STAR's information, and we have connections to organizers around the city that will mobilize and join community residents. I also dropped our Venmo and our Cash App because we need to pay our little community organizers and feed them. But we're 501, check us out. And Kate has my info. I've dropped it 1 million times. Every single person who is in favor of mobilizing, please get my information from Kate and visit STAR's website, drop a donation. We will be mobilizing in New York City come the next couple days in all the amazing creative ways I've already mentioned, including maybe having a bunch of local kids make giant vats of rainbow slime to muck up the bulldozers. So drop us a line, get in touch. We will be leading the organizing on this.
There is, thank you, Mariah. There is one very constructive comment in the chat that I just want to make everybody aware of, and this comes from David Bears. It's that the design elements in conflict should be separated from the badly needed improvements so that the park is not debilitated for longer than needed and the community not pay the price for the state's misstep. Stopping construction in full now would be costly and disastrous for the reopening schedule. I think
So
that separating the design
Trina,
elements.
yesterday when Kate called, I agree with you 100%. What starts, and this just goes back, I'm going to keep harking this until people are tired of hearing it. Let us lead. I sent an email to the governor's office saying we agree it should be stopped, and we made reasonable suggestions. We said, we get it, it's a big deal to stop it, but this is what community wants, and we should try to make it ready by Pride, continue whatever needed repairs can be made with 14 million effing dollars.
Yeah.
And yes, make sure that the residents can enjoy it while this is hashed out and don't suffer. Yep, we got you, Trina. We got you.
Okay.
Okay, Trina, thank you. All right.
Sorry, to clarify, will the video be posted somewhere? The video of the meeting, sorry.
I don't know if
as soon as it's downloaded, which usually takes a whole day, it'll be posted in our YouTube.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marie. All right.
And Gallagher's office stands ready to help. There is the last message
Beautiful
in the chat. So for everybody.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Adjourned?
Adjourned.
Okay, Steve. All right. Good night.
Good job, Phil.
Everybody, thank you again. Good night. Stay well. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Get vaccinated.
Stay safe.
Get vaccinated.